We are live. Tell your friends you're listening to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we have another very special episode. We have the 2001 movie, The Tailor of Panama. Nathan, do you have a history with The Tailor of Panama?
This was something, I think this was part of my HBO days
Okay.
when I was watching. Now, I know who John Le Carre is, and I like his books.
So I didn't look this up at all, so I'll ask you now. When did this book come out, and was he still alive? Or is he still alive now?
No, he died in 2020 at age 89.
Okay.
So, and this book came out in, it was after the invasion of Panama. So, let's see, when did this book come out? Yes, this book came out in 1996.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I thought it seemed like it was more contemporary of his novels, because mostly I associate him with like 70s spy stuff. So
Yeah, that's what he's best known for is Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, The Looking Glass War, Smiley's People.
was he Born Identity, or was that someone else?
That's Robert Ludlum, I
Okay,
think.
yeah, right.
That is also a pen name for someone I don't remember. John Le Carre's real name is David Cornwell. So
Okay.
and he was actually in I can never keep it straight, MI5, MI6, one's
Okay.
domestic, one's foreign, but yeah, he actually did work in that industry,
Unlike Tom Clancy,
unlike Tom Clancy, who just made it seem cool.
who was just a really good researcher and
Yes.
like what he did, like insurance was his thing before he
Yeah,
became
he was arbitrage and insurance, I think. Yeah,
okay.
he made a lot of money both directions. He's very Tom Clancy was always vaguely inspirational to me. It's like if you aggregate enough facts, you can too create fans.
Yeah.
And then the people who actually do it might actually appreciate it as long as you cast them in a positive light. But Tom Clancy's best books were always like highly technical research books.
Yeah,
That was when he was like really, and he did a lot of stuff based on like war games and the computer gaming that existed at that time, which was basically text games combined with board games that were densely complex with rules and capabilities and, not so visually stunning. But what they lacked in vision, just because of the technology at the time, they made up for in facts they probably shouldn't have known.
yeah.
So, yeah. Whereas John Le Carre's it's more spies and it's a lot better like characters.
Yeah.
Like you care about the character.
It seems to get more into like not like the technical details of spycraft, but like the manipulation of spycraft.
Yeah. There's almost no technical. If there is technical stuff, it's like background and like he's researched it, but it's like it's not the thrust of the story.
Yeah.
The story is like, how does George Smiley manipulate people, or who is Carla, and how, why are East Germans so evil? Stuff like that. There's kind of an arc though, the from 1961 to like 1980, that was like pure John Le Carre.
Yeah.
That was like everything, and then after that, it kind of like, I don't know, it changed its scope a little bit. He became less one-sided, I guess. He started to look at the whole thing. It's like, yeah, it's nasty, and the two nastiest players in it are the KGB and the CIA, and they do awful things constantly all the time, both publicly and in secret. And everyone's just kind of like, oh, in the West, it's like, oh, clearly the Russians and the KGB are the worst people in the world. And clearly in the East, it's like, oh, the CIA, they're full of, psychopathic killers, and we're going to be attacked by their weird machines and technology. And it's like dealing with aliens that are always one step ahead of you because they have weird tech you've never heard of. And so, yeah, he became more, I guess, more rounded, but the stories became less focused also at the same time.
More about the human condition, less about like somebody winning a game.
Yeah, because well, see, in like and the Smiley series where it's just MI5 versus the KGB. He made Eastern Europe and Russia. It was like terrifying to engage these people on these terms because some of they were so grim, so dark, and just so willing to like do the worst possible things. And it was always like a bunch of like polite English gentlemen and kind of borderline alcoholics and people who were flawed in their own way, fighting kind of a one-sided war, good against evil. But then later on, when he started in putting like British people in between the CIA and the KGB, it became like, oh, we're just caught in a vice here. Both the jaws are crushing us. And because the Russians are evil and dangerous, and Americans are greedy and stupid and dangerous. It's like, we're just being destroyed. The world's being torn apart between these two titanic forces. And then once the Russians moved off the map, then he started writing, or the Soviet Union wasn't a thing. Then it became Russian gangster stuff. And, but yeah, his apex le carre is always the Smiley universe. And it's still, it's still cool to reread those books to this day, even though it's all like hopelessly dated. But it's like, yeah, this is cool, just because you like the characters and the writing and the way he, the way he writes things is, very, it's very enthralling writing. It's like, yeah, it's a really good writer, like a lot of British people are that do that. It's like, yeah, the writing in this is excellent, and these people seem real.
This is the end of our John Borman feature. So he directed this movie, and March 30th, 2001 was when it came out. So a pre 9/11 movie. What else am I thinking of? I think The Bourne Identity came around the same time too. I can't remember. Or maybe that was like 99. I mean, this isn't really that, because I feel like the casting of Pierce Brosnan is like a very specific. Like you got him to point at James Bond and then just completely undercut that character where he's absolutely not James Bond. So.
Play James Bond, but evil, manipulative, and not like very suave, but the follow through is kind of terrible.
Yeah. He's James Bond, but everybody else is not catering to James Bond. So they're acting more real.
He got Pierce Brosnan in the midst of his run as James Bond.
Yeah.
It's like that was unusual that you could get him, but that's because essentially they were all in Ireland together at that time, and it's like, yeah, let's make this movie. This movie, all the interiors are shot in Ireland. Oh, okay. All the exteriors were shot in Panama.
Okay.
But yeah, these people, I don't think they ever actually went to Panama. I think they did like a lot of second unit stuff there and some, but as I understand it, this movie was mostly shot in Ireland with a bunch of people kind of between projects. It's like, okay.
Well, yeah, because there's some other movie. There's a lot of like casting of Pierce Brosnan, like basically against type, where it's like he's James Bond, let's cast him. Because also I was like Mars Attacks too, where it's like, let's make him a coward in Mars Attacks because he's James Bond and that would be funny. And there's a bunch of other stuff around this time where he's kind of doing a similar thing where he's acting anti James Bond in the movies.
Yeah.
Well, no. The other thing I was thinking about was the Thomas Crown Affair, which he's kind of a suave criminal, so he is still kind of James Bond like, but he is like technically the bad guy of that movie. So.
Yeah, and then you got Jamie Lee Curtis, like, what was it, 6 years after True Lies, which she seemed like that. How'd they get, like, she showed up? I don't think anyone knew who Jeffrey Rush was at this time.
No. I'm trying to think of the first thing I knew of Jeffrey Rush. Wasn't he? Oh no, I'm thinking of F. Murray Abraham. He was in that like one of the Star Trek movies that I didn't like.
Insurrection.
Insurrection, yeah.
The mystery group of aliens that have the other mystery group of aliens. Like, yeah, they have superior technology to the Federation. Yet again, another How many times can we destroy the Enterprise? It's like, let's stop doing this.
I guess I didn't look.
Actually, people did know who Jeffrey Rush was. He was in Shakespeare in Love. I think he won an Oscar for that. So I was
Okay.
about that, but
I never seen that movie for some reason. That was when I didn't like Ben Affleck or Matt Damon, and so I was just like, and like you see the trailers for it, and it's like, yeah, Ben Affleck seems awful in this movie, and then now I've just come to terms where it's like, Ben Affleck's not a great actor, but he makes great choices. I don't know how to describe it, but he's a way
has presence but not skill.
Well, I think it took me like hearing him talk in real life to realize like, oh, this guy's super smart. Like he's not an idiot, but in all his movies he seems like an idiot. Like maybe that's a choice. I don't know. And it seemed like he had a fake Boston accent in Good Will Hunting, and he's like from the area. So it's like, well, who's wrong, me or him? I don't know.
Yeah. That's a terrible accent. It's like, that's where I'm from. Like, doesn't change the fact accent. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
It really took to him directing movies where it's like, oh, yeah, he's actually kind of brilliant. And he won an Oscar. So
yeah.
Several, because I guess he co-wrote Good Will Hunting, so he got that Oscar, and then got it later. He didn't get a director, but he produced Argo, so he got the Oscar for producing Argo.
Yeah, that's kind of an overlooked film, I think. I remember when I watched.
I mean, all of his are like The Town is a fucking awesome movie. It's like
The Town's fun because it's like I too could rob banks.
Yeah, it's like a
perseverance.
It's like a blue collar Heat. Where it's like it's basically all the same stuff, but just like lower stakes and less suave people.
Yeah, a lot more lower stakes, and people from the Midwest are like, those streets are so small. How could you get away on those streets? Just have to crash the police car. It's like, yeah, they're blocked. No one can come from that direction. It's like, wow, yeah, I guess so. That's crazy.
Cinematographer is Seamus Deasy. Who was he last week's movie? I can't remember. I'm not seeing. He must have just been an Irish cinematographer because I'm not seeing a lot of famous.
He probably did the interiors because I know that a French guy did most of the stuff actually in Panama.
Okay.
And what's his name? Well, yeah, why would I not have this pulled up for the thing I'm talking about? Oh, Philippe Rousselot.
Oh, so it's the guy who did the last two. Okay. So.
Yeah. So he did like.
Oh no! Well, I know he didn't do the general, but he did do the two previous.
The international ones.
Yeah.
The General was basically an in-house Irish film shot in Ireland for Ireland.
But this guy was on the camera electrical department for Reign of Fire.
That's cool.
That's a movie we're gonna do eventually.
We got to do that one. That's.
Oh, this guy shot the General too. So that's where we know him from. So
okay,
he's a local guy. So does a fine job. So
the General is actually pretty cool. It's black and white. So
yeah.
Kind of makes it fun.
Written by Andrew Davies and John Le Carre and John Borman. These are all ands, the word, so it's all separate passes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so John Le Carre just did a pass on this movie. So okay.
Yeah. So in the interview I watched, he described he's like they hit the high points. They got Osnard right because he's a terrible person. And they really nailed it. He goes, that was important. He said, I thought Harry Pendle could have been developed a little more. He goes, Jeffrey Rush did a fine job, but they just didn't really establish his motives as well as I would have liked. Because John Le Carre he talks like this uptight British guy, but he's like, all in all, good job. So that was his take on it. He goes, I can give it one pass, but then the director and the writer start fighting. Been here before, done this before. I'm going to give it one pass, and I'm just going to let it go because I'm the writer and he's the director. So for John Le Carre, he sounded like pretty excited about the movie. So
okay,
because he's known to be someone. It's like, what did you think of that? Was that great? Oh no. wait, so it's like he's always.
Well, at least he sounds at least partially more diplomatic than Alan Moore. So.
Oh yeah. No, he's very diplomatic, but it's like, does he like it or not? I can't. I don't know.
I enjoyed the process.
Yeah,
The result was terrible, but we all had fun.
it's the work. It's the work that's what's important. It gives the kids something to do, and they all learn something. They learn why this is bad and why you don't do this again. Yeah, he's kind of one of those guys that talks like that, especially with a lot of American interviewers, which were really upbeat. He would be like, "Oh, ma'am, please hold on." It's like, wait. But he's a guy from I think he was born in the late 20s or early 30s, so he's from that tradition.
Andrew Davies wrote like a lot of super British movies, like all the Bridget Jones movies. He did a lot of TV. Like I see Bleak House. Is that the is House of Cards the American version of that, or is that?
No, the House of Cards is the same in both sides.
Okay.
It's called the same thing.
Okay, I didn't see that yet. So Sense and Sensibility. One of my favorite titles. I have no idea what it is. It sounds like it should be a horror movie, but I know it isn't. Brideshead Revisited.
Yeah, that's classic. Classic literature. I forget who wrote it, but yeah. Yeah, no, it's not about finding someone's head in a box. It's and then revisiting the crime or so. It's not. It's less. Not Orson Welles. It's less Alfred Hitchcock and more like Emily Bront or something.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. Not saying she wrote it, but it's that kind of stuff. It's books I've read once in college and yep, I read it. Cool. I can see why it's good and nobody writes this way anymore. So, next.
And the cast is Pierce Brosnan, Jeffrey Rush, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
And don't forget Daniel Radcliffe in his first role.
Oh, he was? Who was he?
Yeah, he was Harry's oldest son.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah, when you watch it again, you'll be like, "Yep, that's him." But yeah, you just
his son had this weird not disembody it. He was like, it's like his son isn't his son. It's like, I'm a child existing in this universe. You are not my parents, and I am not your child.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have to look at that again. But yeah, this wasn't too far from the Harry Potter movies. Was that 2003 they first came out?
Yeah, no, I think it was his next thing, if I remember.
That was also a weird thing, because I always thought I was like 15 years older than those kids, and I'm like, I don't know, I think I'm 6 years older than them.
Yeah,
so it's
37 or something. Heard that. It's like, that's still way younger than me, but he's not as young as he thought he was.
Yeah. Does Jamie Lee Curtis have big tits?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it seemed that way in this movie, and I don't remember that being a thing, so whatever.
Well, let's look it up, James. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's there's some of them where she's just lying down in bed and just whoops, a boob popped out. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But we've seen through John Boorman's films that there's a lot more sex than I thought. I mean, it seemed obvious in crap, what's the trippy movie with Sean Connery?
Oh, Zardoz?
Yeah, Zardoz, it's more prevalent there. But
that's 70s, soaked in drugs, and it's yeah, of course there's going to be sex, and it's going to be weird.
Yeah, here almost all the sex in this movie is weird and disappointing and uncomfortable.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's is she being murdered or having sex? What's going on?
Yeah, I guess we'll get into the movie. So yeah, this is the first time I saw the movie. I didn't realize this was 2001. It's both yesterday and 50 years ago, but it is 25 years ago or 24 years ago. So, because I don't think because when you said we're doing the Tailor Panama, I almost assumed that was a movie from the early 90s, but it's the early 2000s. So.
Early 2000s, written in the mid 90s, but yeah.
Which became more evident when they have the pictures, when they have the interstitials of the planes flying. It's that's a CG plane. It's all right, that's fine, whatever. We got Act 1. We open on MI6 headquarters. Or is it MI5? Did I write that? Is MI6
It says MI6 in the book synopsis. So
is MI6 like, is that like the more like, is that like the imagined larger tier, more darker, like bigger? Is that like the James Bond version of MI5 is MI6, or is MI6 an actual thing?
I have a thing here. It's like,
What does MI stand for?
I think it's like Her Majesty's Intelligence.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I know one of them is external, and one of, you know how we have the FBI and the CIA.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I understand it, but I think they're both actual intelligence services. Just one is internal and more military focused, and one is more external.
Okay. All right.
And I think MI6 is like the CIA.
Okay. Yeah. They're sending spies out. Okay. Yeah. Because that's what they say in James Bond movies in MI6. So.
Yeah. So I think an MI5 is like, it's not like the FBI, but it's kind of like, because our internally, if you're a spy in America, it's the FBI counterintelligence that comes after you.
Yeah.
It's not the CIA. The CIA
is not supposed to operate inside the
United States. Operate within the United States. But there is.
But try telling anybody else.
So do you believe that? Because it says it in the rules. But yeah, that's so that's their thing. But they also have like Scotland Yard, that's like the criminal type.
Yeah.
See, ours are sort of smeared together, but then again,
I don't know, Nathan, do you ever watch those FBI shows? So one's just called FBI, one's FBI International, and then there's another one. It's like FBI CIA or some shit.
Well, we think it's confusing what other countries have, and then because like in the Soviet or in Russia, you have the FSB, which is basically an acronym that means it's Federal Security Service, and then you have the GRU, which is military intelligence. Like, oh, this is really confusing. And then you like look at what the USA has. It's like there's 17 different intelligence agencies. There's the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the NRO, the National Security Council, and all these things have like separate staffs, and they all operate in different purviews.
And the ONI,
Office of Naval Intelligence, yeah. And the Army has its own intelligence division. But I mean, all these things intersect at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sometimes it's hard to, it's like, yeah, we think other countries are dense, and then it's like, but look at your own cabinet, and it's like, wow, this is a lot.
I'll ask you this, Nathan, because I only know this from movies, so I don't actually know this. I don't know if this is more of a database or an organization, but what is Interpol?
Interpol I think that means international police.
That's what I assume.
International crime, because it's based in Brussels, I think. But it's like, yeah, because it's state here. It's like state level police until you cross a border. Then it's FBI because that's federal level. And I think like Interpol is like crimes where you go from like the U.S. to Canada or the U.S. to France or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that involves Interpol, and it also involves drugs, child trafficking, guns, all the dark stuff. Because I know there's like Interpol warrants where all the nations that are allied. Like if a passport gets flagged in the UK, but they're not going into America, but it's like, oh, they're trying to come into the UK. Well, we'll hold you for the FBI or whatever.
Yeah.
But then that gets tricky because we have the death penalty here. So a lot of people will be like sentenced in that country for crimes they committed here, but be held there because they don't want to send them here because they might get the death penalty, but really hardly anyone gets the death penalty anymore. So it's kind of a weird thing. Because when's the last time we executed a spy like that? Yeah, we haven't done that since
the Rosenbergs or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's been a long time. Technically, spying against the U.S. is like a death offense. Like, if we catch you giving secrets to the enemy, like they just march you up against the wall and shoot you once they convict you. Now, usually we are like, well, we'll trade him for one of our guys or something. But yeah, that's Interpol.
Yeah, I've seen stuff where it's like people go AWOL, and it's like, well, that guy's going to jail, right? And it's like, no. It's like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
um,
But yeah, isn't fleeing from the military like a felony? Like,
no, not that I know of.
okay, interesting. I thought
I have a handful of examples.
you would know better than me.
But that's reserve duty, so that's slightly different. So
That's not like combat zone stuff. Not the
no.
rules move up to a higher level when you're in combat.
But no, like if you watch, but I don't necessarily have like any experience with it personally, but like being around it, like in movies and television, the amount of time people are getting dishonorably discharged is frightening compared to like it's almost impossible to get dishonorably discharged from the military.
Yeah.
Because that has like caveats. That basically means you killed people intentionally, like your own people. Like you have to do some heinous shit to get dishonorably discharged. Because I also like that is putting like stuff on your record. It's like, because they ask those questions on different forums, like, have you ever been dishonorably discharged?
Yeah.
And most for like 99.9% of America, that's no.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, you got to do crazy shit. Because usually I assume like things that would qualify for that in like combat, that's more going to be like Judge Dredd justice, where it's like you did something so bad and there's a bunch of guys around with guns. It's like, well, the sentence is death. It's like, hey, died in combat. What do you know? It's like you always think it's like, I don't think they're going to prosecute that guy if he's doing it against his own people. I imagine he's just going to be killed. Well, remember those books you read about Vietnam? It's like, how many times was the guy going to the bathroom and a grenade flies over it's like, you could be shot for doing that. Seemed to happen quite a bit though.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we don't know who did it. Oh well. We tried. Send him, box him up, send him home. Put the next guy in here. It's like, oh man, this is awful.
So we have Andy Osnard, Pierce Brosnan, which that's a weird name. I guess it's
a very British name.
Yeah, very British. Well, I think it's supposed to be Andrew, and then he has like a nickname, something Osnard, but I just call him Andy throughout the whole thing. So
yeah, everyone has a shortened name in this.
Yeah, he's looking out a window. His boss is Luxmore. I'm not sure if that's very British or what. That sounds. That sounds more. Oh, what's this? I was gonna say Luxembourg, but I guess it just is Lux in it. Whatever. It's played by David Heyman. Who? Wait, was he in Hope and Glory? Was he the dad in Hope and Glory?
Yes, that's the same guy.
Okay. What else have we seen? He's been in a bunch of stuff. I can't remember, but.
Oh yeah, he was in that. He was in the Jackal, the one from the 90s.
Oh, 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Bruce Willis one. Yeah.
He's an Andor. He plays the director of the bureau, whatever bureau of the Empire that lady's working for.
Oh right, okay,
yeah. So yeah, he's been around. I'm looking at his acting credits, and it's like 3 pages. So he's like British TV, British movie, American stuff. Yeah, he's been around.
So yeah, Luxmore mentions Panama is where they're sending him as like a punishment. So apparently Panama is just supposed to be like a bad assignment where nothing happens.
Yeah, it's a backwater.
Which I don't know. I feel like these people must be getting paid well to go live in like mosquito-strewn paradise. I've never been to Panama, so I don't know if it's good or bad. So
I know some Americans get paid well. I don't know what British people always talk about how the working for the government doesn't pay at all.
Yeah.
So. But I mean, if you're
provided for, but not a lot of freedom. They talk about blown cover and gambling debt and like sleeping with other people's wives. So this is like the anti James Bond, where he does James Bond stuff, but he reaps all the repercussions of it. So.
Yeah, he doesn't always win.
But yeah, he tells them straight up, this is a bad assignment, but like they still need him. So it's almost like his boss here is like trying to get him to will something into existence. So So like everybody's at fault ultimately at the end of this movie. So.
Well, the way John le Carre described Osnard is he's not smart. He has a certain to get to where he did, he came from a certain background. He has a certain polish to him, and he knows how to generate certain things to move through the system, and that's what they want from him. But he's someone who is not like there's not a lot of original thinking there. It's a lot of style and no substance. That's how I wrote him. So it's like, yeah, well, they're you know, because he's on. This is like his last assignment before the pension.
Yeah,
and so he knows he better grab the ring, and his boss knows that too. It's like, yeah, make something happen. But he's also kind of an idiot, so it's probably not the best guy to bet on. But it's who you got. So.
Andy flies to Panama. He's looking over a list of people, which I think is just like bank stuff, bank statements, and they somehow magically has, and so he's able to pick up on Harry here somehow. So
yeah,
I'm not sure if he knows. Like, does he know Harry the whole time, or does he know him exclusively from this list here?
He knows him from his background.
Okay.
He was. They were flagged as persons of interest.
Oh, okay. All right.
He was given dossiers, with like cool like coats of arms on them. Like you read on an airplane when you smoke, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's just very spy-like.
We get text on the screen as they're doing like a flyover of the Panama Canal. Often called the eighth wonder of the world, the Panama Canal was built by American engineers and operated by the U.S. Army for 85 years. At the end of 1999, it was controversially handed back to Panama, leading to intense speculation about the future of this vital gateway. Meanwhile, in the corner of Panama City, plying his trade was the title, the Tailor of Panama. And weirdly, this is now relevant again for other
this is coming back to us. Well, basically the same reasons it was controversial. I mean, I got to remember this movie is set like in book time 7 years after the United States invaded Panama.
Yeah.
And overthrew the government of Noriega, who they propped up through the 70s. And then all of a sudden turned against him because he was laundering too much drug money and being too corrupt. And they fought a war, and people died. Of course, I mean, Americans died, Panamanians died, a lot more Panamanians.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that's kind of forgotten. It's like,
I don't think I ever looked up the invasion of Panama, so.
Yeah, Operation Just Cause. Look it up.
Because I think it's like, what was it? The other one we invaded, Grenada. That's a weird one. That was like seemed like we almost like accidentally invaded a country and accidentally won. So.
Yeah. Well, it's another one where we like shot our own people alive.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is clearly a success. Just Cause. Grenada was Bush or was Reagan. This was Bush.
Okay.
Bush, he was the one trick he had as president. It's like, I can invade places and win. And can't manage the economy or anything. And then, like father, like son, it all replays itself. But yeah.
But we
met a guy who fought in that as a Navy SEAL. I talked to him.
Huh. I
was like, tell me your story. No. Okay.
Good on you.
Yes, you don't have to name names. It's like, why would you want to know about that? It's like, I'm interested in things like that. But,
Are you a spy, Nathan?
Yeah. Well, I met this guy in a car factory, so it's like, he's not used to people like, tell me about that. What were the geopolitics?
We get Harry Pendle, bad name, but I don't know. I guess it works.
Super British name.
Yeah, played by Jeffrey
Rush.
Jeffrey Rush. Okay. He walks into view. We get a voiceover that leads into the scene where he's like selling a customer on like a suit. Then we get a fast motion of Harry making out the cloth and like he's cutting it. We cut to the Panama streets. They're busy with like beggars and like traffic congestion. So this doesn't look like a great place.
Yeah, it's third world country.
Basically, got to throw coins to get children away from you.
Yep.
to waft the children away from your pockets as they probably try to put their hands in your pockets. He drops his kids off at school, Andy is following her. Andy's following around Harry, so Andy's in town now, following Harry around because this is like his mark or whatever, or his what do you call those, informant he needs,
Yeah.
or agent, or what do they call those? I forget.
Yeah. What do they call? Yeah, they have a name for them. Oh, well, at least the CIA does. But yeah,
But they're like informants, but they do more like they basically do spy work without a country behind them. So it's like
yeah,
they're always manipulated with usually money to do stuff like this.
operatives. Or something.
Yeah, operatives. Yeah, that's it. He goes to a bank and talks with Raymond, played by John Polito, who's been in a bunch of stuff. This guy's usually like a loud Italian guy or something.
But yeah, here he's a loud. Yeah, he's like a Colombian or something.
Yeah, we do get a bunch of white guys playing like Central Americans, but as we talked about before, America is a pretty diverse place, so you can get away with that here. But,
yeah.
The bank tells him that his
here that look as white as anyone you've ever met, and it's my name's Muhammad. I'm like, what? He's like, well, yeah, my mom's. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, half these two continents were destroyed by Spanish, so it's like that's.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Yeah, I've seen Spanish people as white as anyone. So yeah.
The bank tells him that what the bank tells him his properties he bought won't he's like building like a wine farm, and they say like it's not going to work out or something like that. I forget what's going on here. It's weird. It's like this farm is of great importance in the first 5 minutes of this movie, and then it just disappears the rest of the movie.
It becomes basically a MacGuffin. It's like, why would this guy do all this? It's like, oh, he needs to pay off the farm because he took his wife's inheritance and invested it in this farm, and he's a foreigner, and his wife's an American working for somebody working for the Panamanian government, I think. But it's like, yeah, and he's being he basically got swindled by these guys buying a farm that will never produce anything.
Well, and we'll find out later on that there's the bank is swindling him. It's not that he made it's not that Harry made a bad investment, and the bank knew that and took advantage of him. So
yeah, he was kind of misled. He wasn't like foolish. He was lied to. It's like, no, this will work out. And yeah, but I basically took his wife's inheritance and invested it in this stuff, it's like $20,000, which is like, oh, okay. But in Colombia at that time, I don't know, what is that, $1 million? I don't know. Might be a lot of money. So
Harry goes back to his shop where Andy is waiting. Andy's looking for a new suit and tells of his like father being a client, but this is probably all a lie. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a lie.
Well, yeah, this is like where they start talking to each other, and it's like, is this spy talk? Is this like they're talking around the thing they're talking about, or so? This also were like
people that are born in deception. That's what you got to remember about these two characters. Everything with them is deception.
Yeah.
So they're two guys that don't tell the truth for different reasons, but they never tell the truth, And
so, Andy still makes everything sexual here because there's always the like pretty direct hints at sex here. It's like because he's like touching him and measuring him, and it's like it's all that stuff like that, which Andy always takes opportunity to make some sort of sex joke. So,
well, the reason he does that is he's always trying to keep Harry off balance because he knows about Harry's real background, and he British prisons, like American prisons, you get raped a lot. It's, especially if you're the new guy. So he's always trying to make him uncomfortable. You get that more from reading the book than the movie, but that's what Andy's doing. It's vulgar to talk that way, and it's definitely vulgar to talk that way. Who's been the victim of like sexual violence, especially men? And it's like, yeah, when you're down there measuring someone and their crotches in your face, and you're making comments like he's just trying to keep them off.
Which way do you dress? A lot of the kids nowadays do it to the left or something like
that. Yeah, it's kind of a lot worse than what you think, but it's it's terrible, and that's why it's awkward and weird, and it's shot that way.
But I mean, Andy does this to everybody. It doesn't matter. He'll make it vaguely sexual or not vaguely, like intentionally sexual and weird, and then some people vibe with that for unknown reasons.
Can you imagine actually doing that in casual conversation with strangers?
Not nowadays, no.
I mean, it's like,
Me, no, not in general, no. I don't. But people definitely get away with this. I don't know who, but some people do. So
yeah, I can't imagine even attempting something like that. I mean, sometimes you got to be careful who you swear in front of people.
yeah,
Like they might get offended. Let alone when you apply, like, it's I don't know, just weird. Never been good at working sexual innuendo into fours. It's like the seventh most interesting thing about most people. It's like, oh, you have sex. Wow, congratulations. It's good job. Let's talk about it ad nauseum.
um, but yeah, this is where we get the first bit of like, not really unreliable narrator. What do you call that? It's like subjective storytelling. This is where
Yeah.
Uncle Benny shows up, and he's a character that only Harry sees, and when he interacts with Benny, nobody else notices it. So it's all in his head. So
Yeah, which is interesting. Brings a comedic element to this movie.
Yeah, this is very unexpected for what you're expecting as a spycraft thriller, and then we have like this kind of like subjective kind of more psychological kind of like internal monologue brought to life.
Because it's fringing with like fourth wall breaking too. Because it's like, oh, it's a conversation between you and Harry and his and Uncle Benny. It's like, now this is really what's going on. Like, Jeffrey Rush is one of those characters where his eyes are big and he's uses expressions and physicality to act as much as dialogue, and it's like okay, well, now this is what's going to happen.
Like he also doesn't have great teeth, but he somehow can act with his teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
like it's almost like like when he's doing kind of an innocent thing, he'll kind of like unfurl his top lip, and he'll kind of almost seem like have like buck teeth almost. And then when he's angry, it's like you see his bottom teeth, which are kind of all mashed together in angles. It's like it's
uncomfortable because he has like bony hands and like he's pointing at you.
Yeah. So I think it's
You've done it now.
I think it's the only actor I've ever recognized him acting with his teeth. So
he's a very facial type actor, is what I would say. Every role.
Yeah.
Like this, and he's got big hands and big bony hands, so it's it's like the crazy old person pointing at you all the time.
Is this what you describe as somebody who chews the scenery, or what does that even mean?
Oh yeah, well that's chewing the scenery. I always understood that to mean like he's not getting good direction from the director.
Oh, okay.
So everything is over the top.
Okay.
Way where everyone else is either over the top or too restrained.
Yeah.
You're either phoning it in or chewing the scenery. One of the two. You're not getting good direction.
Okay.
That's how I understand that to be.
Okay. I never actually looked up the etymology of that. I always, when people say, usually it's like understood to be a bad thing if somebody's chewing the scenery, but I've found like it kind of being a more positive term nowadays, where it's like an actor's having fun with something, and then you have fun too when they're chewing the scenery. So.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's on purpose, but sometimes it's also like it's very frustrating for actors. Sometimes they do it as a rebellion against a bad director.
Yeah.
That's how it's been explained to me. Anyone who had George Lucas direct him is like, I didn't know whether to shoot fall asleep, so because he's sure not fucking telling me. It's like, oh, okay, this sounds like fun.
Well, I remember there's like what was it for the Magnificent Seven, and it was who played Steve McQueen. Kept doing stuff when he was acting in scenes with Yul Brynner.
Yeah.
And like Yul Brynner had to like, hey, stop doing that shit. You're trying to get all the attention. I know what you're doing. He's like, and Yul Brynner was like famously had like these bright blue eyes and a bald head. And he's like, I'll take my hat off and then nobody will pay attention to you. So that was his boast against Steve McQueen to quit being an asshole.
That's pretty good to tell Steve McQueen to fuck off and not punch the balls. Those guys were from a different era where and they just start whacking. Oh.
Andy lists all the crimes that Harry's associated with, and also breaks down like all his debts and mistakes. So like he knows, so like Harry knows he's kind of like being put out. He's getting his laundry aired here, and he doesn't like it. So because he's built his whole life around keeping it a secret. So, and then Harry gets mad and kicks Andy out of the shop. Then we see Louise Pendle, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. That's the wife of Harry. She shows up. I forget what she does at the shop. I just have that being the end of Act 1. So, got Act 2. Harry and Andy walk into some party, but this is like they make it seem like a year ago these were all the criminals and drug dealers, but now they're like government officials that are still criminals and drug dealers. So it's just how a government takeover happens, I guess. Harry lays out like all the different people involved and the criminal activities that they're involved with. We get Mickey, played by Brendan Gleeson, who we last saw.
Praxis, which is a very strange name.
Yeah. Mickey gets loud and admonishes the room, and then Harry calms him down and he gets him out of there, like as they're being thrown out. We go through the city and we see like kind of normal life and seedy life all intermixed. For there's like, here's a call girl, here's like a family room, and then here's like a brothel, and it's just all together. Or here's like a young couple kissing on the side of the street, and there's no money involved or anything. It's just young love amidst money being exchanged for sex. So that's just kind of showing like that, you can't get away from this stuff. It's all intermixed. So at least I'm guessing. I don't know if you have an extra take on that, Nathan. But.
No, I mean, Panama City itself is a pretty, it's a massive, thick city, and by thick I mean everything's really close together.
Okay.
And it was founded in like the 15th century, so it's been around a long time.
Well, if we know anything from music, Guns N' Roses told us that the grass was green and the girls were pretty. So.
Oh, that's Paradise City.
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah. Wait, no, I'm mixing other. I'm thinking of a worse song. I'm thinking of Panama by who's that guy?
Van Halen.
Yeah, didn't they use that to like as like mind warfare against people, like blasting Panama until people went insane?
I believe so. Yeah. Well, actually, because who was the guy? Manuel Noriega hated rock and roll.
Okay.
And because he evaded capture from the Navy SEALs and the U.S. Army couldn't find him, and so he fled. I think it was it the Vatican embassy? I don't know. He hid out in an embassy.
Yeah.
And of course they were like, well, he can't come in here and drag this guy out and kill him. So they played rock and roll music because I guess Noriega hated rock and roll. And so they played it like day and night. Like they brought in like those giant loudspeakers.
Yeah.
And they just played it all the time. Like the guys who were playing the music had to wear those huge like flight line earmuffs. So yeah, eventually Noriega surrendered. They played rock and roll music.
Psychological warfare movie.
Yeah.
Andy is chastising Harry that he doesn't work for losers and speaks of like revolution in the wind, but this is just kind of all talk. So, Harry is visited by his uncle's ghost again. So, and was this supposed to be his actual uncle? Like, is this supposed to be, or is his uncle like a made up character too? That was a real.
Well, it was his uncle, and it was the reason he went to prison was because he committed arson, so his uncle could select.
Oh, that's what that's about. Okay, because he has
Yeah.
Okay, because there's that scene where he's like dreaming of the shop being on fire, and I thought that was like supposed to I thought that was like a vision of the future, not of the past. Okay, I guess I missed that whole thing. So.
But his uncle was not a famous Savile Row tailor. He was just like another criminal.
Okay. So
the guy whose picture was on the wall, who was supposedly his mentor, well, that was his uncle, and it was all made up. Okay. It was basically petty crime Harry got caught up in. And then he's like, he got burned for arson. Interesting. Arson. And then he ended up like having to do a stint in prison, which is where he learned to be a tailor.
Okay.
Because that he could find an escape from the violence of the prison.
Yeah.
Because arson is here as they're considered like a violent crime. You don't go to nice prisons; you go to the maximum security prisons, which are just full of psychopaths and rapists and murderers and everything else. So, and Harry does seem like ultimately kind of a decent guy, but definitely someone who's like just paddling to keep his head above water.
Yeah.
So that's sort of his like survival mode.
Then we cut to Harry hops in bed with Louisa.
Yeah.
So he gets like slight visions of boobs here with Jamie Lee Curtis laying in bed, and it's like, here's a nipple, here's a nipple.
Gotta have that.
Yeah.
It's in the tropics. It's hot.
I wasn't expecting that in the movie, so.
Yeah.
Well, also it's like, like in like that was True Life. No, True Lives was R. But like, they have her like all sexed up there too, but there's you never see her boobs. I think this might be the only time it's like Jamie Lee Curtis showed boobs in a movie, so I'm not sure. Maybe that's why I'm taken aback by it or something. But also I felt that
this was kind of an unusual character for her because she wasn't like these. Because usually she's like a strong female lead,
yeah,
or co-star, and she really didn't become that until like the last act of the movie.
Yeah.
And even then, she seemed like kind of. So it was sort of an interesting role for her.
Well, also this is like a time where like once you hit your 40s, like just Hollywood would forget about you. So.
Oh yeah, I guess that was a thing too.
Because I think I picked out she would have been 43 when she did this movie.
Okay.
Which nowadays, it's like you can look at like Jennifer Aniston. She's like 53, and she looks, like she's still 30. In some respects. So.
Science has done a lot of cool stuff.
And genetics help. So.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie Curtis is still doing stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, she still looks cool. She's like 66. The new Halloween movies.
She's big with video games because her son loves video games and like cosplay, so she always like cosplays at like events with her family.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, they did the Borderlands movie, which I hear it's terrible, but that's the one.
That's right. Yeah, she was in that. Yeah.
But that's also weird. There's like a weird like progressive streak in that movie of like we're going to use older women and have them be hero characters in that movie, but then the movie's terrible. So.
Yeah, it doesn't really work out. It's like. It is wild when you find out her mother was the one who was stabbed to death in Psycho in the shower.
Oh yeah, I always forget that. Yeah,
it's like that was her mom. Like, huh?
Nepo baby.
Dad was Tony Curtis too. Yeah. So
yeah. Let me cut to Andy visits the British embassy, or this is where he works now, and the embassy people aren't happy to see Andy, but they're like, but that's where you're supposed to guess that they're probably fuck ups too. But yeah, I don't know.
It seems like they're definitely people that are playing a role, but not well.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, I'm the ambassador and I'm serious. And the one guy is like, I'm the intelligent guy. And the one gal's like, I'm not interested in you, but I'm fascinated with you at the same time. It's like, yeah, everyone's kind of a failed British embassy in Panama.
This Francesca shows him to his office. He puts his ear to the safe and picks the lock, but then it's revealed that the door was just open and he was miming stuff. Andy and Francesca's relationship is super weird because basically he just comes on to her and then she hates him, but then is like taken aback by it. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll let him.
I think she was like 26 at the time she made this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, she was pretty young, so.
And then we get some background on Noriega and how like all that stuff going on. So that's kind of like, oh, we're just going to repeat this in this movie.
Yeah.
We cut to Harry meets Mickey at his apartment. Mickey says he's in debt. Harry's looking for revolutionary fighters. Mickey says they're lawyers and bankers now, which is funny. So. Harry goes back to work. We get Marta showing off the books where a bunch of people aren't paying up. Marta is like another like revolutionary. Like this is like the revolution that like Noriega squashed, right? Like this.
Yes.
Okay. And then Harry was just kind of vaguely a part of that, or is he instrumental to it? Or
I think he felt sympathy for some of the people that were involved with it. Like he knew who the players were, but he was kind of outside of it. He was just like watching what happened. But I definitely think he saw some of these people as friends.
Um, but yeah, this is also see like Marta. She has like scars on her face and kind of like a an extra slope on her eye, which but the and like all the people reacting in the movie, it's like talked about her like she's like super ugly or something. It's like nah, that scar's kind of hot. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like she took like a partial shotgun blast or something.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like scarring material, but the way they shoot the character, it's interesting because you'll be looking at her almost from one side, and then she'll like whenever people talk to her, she does a full on face thing, and then you're like, whoa, oh okay, there's some darkness here.
Yeah.
Like something bad happened to her.
Which one? Because yeah, it looked like it was supposed to be like some acid or something, but she just got stabbed a bunch in the face, or what was it? I can't even remember.
I'm not sure if something exploded. I know she was
right, yeah.
on the ground and soldiers were on her, and they were kind of smashing her head into the concrete too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that doesn't help because when you get rocks under your skin, I know this from motorcycle riding, people I talk to, it's like guaranteed infections.
Yeah.
Especially by the side of the road because somebody's pooped or peed on those rocks at some embedded in your skin. So that's going to leave a nasty scar.
Andy shows up. There's some background on Marta being a true revolutionary, and then there's like more imaginary friend stuff with Uncle Benny, which I can't remember what's going on here. But Andy lets Harry know that Ramon is fucking him over. That's the banker.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if this is true or not, but it ends up being true. But basically,
no, it's true. Yeah.
It's like basically it's like he owns the land that the bank is selling him, and then that's it's like the rates are raising up. There's nothing we can do when he's the one doing it. And there's like other people involved as well. It's like just a whole Ponzi scheme or whatever. So, then we get flashbacks. The goons beating up Mickey and Marta, and this is kind of supposed to like hint the end of the revolution here is when what happened. So they got beat up once and the revolution's over. So, but presumably worse things happen to the other people. I'm not sure. So,
well, it's kind of implied that like before the invasion before Operation Just Cause, when this rebellion got put down, which actually did happen, there was an attempted coup on Noriega and he threw it off. But the other sad thing was when America invaded, they were told like they had satellite images of where all these weapons were and where all these people were. And in real life, they just bombed parts of the city flat. Those were like revolutionary strongholds, not pro Noriega ones. Now, some of the nasty inside of that was like, well, Bush and the CIA actually made a deal of who they wanted in power. But that guy said, you got to kill all these rebels before you put me in power because they're just going to start fighting me. But, you hear that stuff, and it's like, is that true? Is it all HS or was it just idiocy? Who knows? Yeah. But it's like, oh, this sounds compelling.
Harry meets up with the president of Panama to drop off a suit. So here it's like, it's weird because he seems like Harry's an important figure to suit making, but then everyone's like, it seems like they're placating him. Like, you don't make any money and we can just go to Armani. And then there's a whole thing about like how bad Armani is later on.
Yeah. Which I don't know, but I do know once in my life, I do want a very expensive suit made to fit me.
Yeah.
So I've always found this stuff to be interesting. It's like, I want someday in my life, I want a really expensive suit made that looks good, that feels good. Just once. I don't wear suits. I work in a factory for a living, but it would be nice to just have that experience. It's like, yeah, I'm going to measure you. You're going to smoke a cigar, drink brandy. You're going to give me $10,000, and I'm going to have a great suit I'll probably be buried in. It's like, cool. It's a complete circle.
Well, I hear there's like basically if you just do all the measurements yourself, you can hand it over to this company that's like in the Philippines, and they can get you like the same suit for like a tenth of the cost.
I've heard stories of people that fly into, where is it? It's somewhere. It's not the Philippines, but no enough. Is it Bangkok? One of those countries.
Yeah.
And you actually have dudes that are like that were just showed up and were trained like those tailors.
Yeah.
And it's still like $3,000 or $4,000 because the materials are crazy expensive. But yeah, you're gonna come out of there. It's like it would be a $10,000 suit if you had it made in Europe,
Yeah.
and no one's gonna know. It's great because they don't put tags in them. It's like they'll put a tag in it, it'll be like this suit was made for so and so. Which those are the cool clothes to wear. It's like, where'd you buy these? It's like, oh, they were made for me. It's like, oh, so you're the Joker in Batman? Yes.
I killed him after he made my suit. Say he gets time with the president while handing over clothes. The president isn't giving up much, but there's also he mentions the canal and like the guard who let him in is like worried about that line of questioning, which I'm not sure what that's about. But then we never see this guard again or the president ever again. So it's but everybody knows he went to see the president, so Harry's going to use that to his advantage because it will give him more like credentials to his lies later on.
Well, but it shows like when Harry's talking to him, the president like, I acknowledge what you say. This suit is too tight around my balls. Can you fix it? So the president never gives him anything.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I just got to make this up out of whole cloth like a tailor. He literally never gave me anything. So yeah, that was interesting. It's a good juxtaposition because here's Harry being serious. It's like, I'm going to get something out of this guy. And here's a seasoned politician who's like, I'm not giving this guy. It was a great scene because he's just throwing pants back and forth over. You don't like, you never see the president a whole lot.
Yeah,
it's just hear a disembodied voice and Harry's like looking hopeful. No, damn it. You know, that really good Jeffrey Rush like face acting I was talking about.
Then we cut to Harry goes to a sex hotel to meet Andy. Andy's just watching porn on the TV while like people are having sex across the street on a different bed. So it's like,
yeah, and you can see it. It's a really gross place. Oh, and the one guy sees Harry going in there, the master of lies or whatever.
Okay, is that Teddy or something?
Yeah, Teddy, who's played by Martin Ferrero, who if you watch Miami Vice, you've seen this guy.
Yeah.
That was Izzy in Miami Vice.
Is that the guy? Is he the lawyer in Jurassic Park that gets eaten off the toilet?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
He was, you know, this guy.
Yeah, he's the character actor.
Things. Interestingly, what's the guy's name? Interesting connection. This and Breaking Bad, because the guy who played Tuco's uncle, the guy who finally killed Gus Fring in the wheelchair, he was in this too.
I forget. Yeah, his character. Yeah, I forget his character name. It seemed like he was an important character.
Raffi Domingo.
Yeah. He's in that party scene. I think he might be. Is he like
in the Armani scene too?
Okay, he's like part of Teddy's like entourage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is where we have like there's a porn on the which they must have shot that for this movie because it's all carefully done, so there's not
because you can have it running in the background, so it's like, well, it was made for this scene.
Well, you never see genitalia, but you definitely see like lots of butts going around. So but like the uncle shows up like trapped in the porn. So, just like, I don't even know what that means, but it's funny as hell. So like,
yeah, because
it's like almost literal fourth wall breaking because he's like trying to break through the television screen, but like I don't know, or he's just trying to warn, or this is just him trying to, because I think what's supposed to be here is Uncle Benny is trying to warn Harry away from lying because this is where he starts up the lie, right? That this is okay, so yeah.
Well, this is when it starts getting like beyond, like, oh, I'm going to incriminate people at this point. I don't know where this is going. And it's funny because Uncle Benny is like his counselor and his conscience, but he was a guy who ruined his life on one level and essentially is a made up fiction too. So that is Harry's like conscious made up story. So yeah, this guy, the layers of deception in this are really cool. And it's played for fun, and it was also kind of played for fun in the book too.
Okay.
So.
Harry says that people are looking to buy a bunch of land, including his farm. So that's one lie because nobody's
Yeah.
nobody. The trick was Harry bought this farm when nobody would, and that was. um, and I wrote here, pretty sure Harry's just lying, which he is.
Well, he's trying to dispose of that debt. He
Yeah.
knows, like, yeah, it's my farm. We've got to include that in the, you know.
And so Andy gives him a stack of cash. So that's what he wants. Then we cut to Harry goes to Ramon to pay off his farm, pay his farm off. He also confronts Ramon about like the scheme they have running, and so he buys Ramon's farm too. So, which
Yeah, because he has this great line with him. He's like, "Yeah, you know the asshole that's cutting my water off," and Ramon's like, "Oh yeah, what about him?" He goes, "It's you." Ramon owned the farm next to him and was cutting his water off, and the guy who was his manager was Ramon's cousin because Osnard told him that. That was delivered in that cool Jeffrey Rush way, where it's all eyes and teeth.
Yeah.
Or the asshole.
Yeah, it's slightly pleasant. It's like you're being accused, but like it's like you're not necessarily angry of it. So.
Oh yeah, by the way, I didn't know Jeffrey Rush Australian. I didn't know that until I did research this movie. It's like, huh, okay. I thought he was British. So
yeah, that's the thing I always confused. Well, I for some reason Jeffrey Rush and F. Murray Abrams are just inexplicably interlinked in my head, even though they're completely different.
Connection.
I think F. Murray Abrams is like from New York, and I always thought he was British. I think that's the weird thing with him.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I can't remember.
And it's to modern audiences, it would be like, the guy from Batman,
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Like, yeah, that guy's an American, right? It's like, no, he's British, right? Yeah, kind of. But he can perfectly disguise the way he talks to. That when you actually hear him talk, you're like, why is he doing a fake accent? It's like, no, that's how he talks. Just like the guy who played the sheriff in The Walking Dead freaked everyone out when he was doing TV interviews. It's like, why is he doing a British accent? It's like, well, that's where he's from. It's like, no, really. It's
F. Murray Abrams is from Pittsburgh.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me.
But he does play a lot of serious roles and kind of like eclectic serious roles. So I think that's why I interlinked the two, because so does Jeffrey Rush.
Yes, they do the same kind of Have you ever seen like Sexy Beast or something? It's like, yeah, Jeffrey Rush could do this too. Interchangeable type acting.
I wonder if they've been in the same movie together.
That would be great.
I always wanted to see Dennis Quaid and Kurt Russell in the same movie, because they pretty much do the same thing. So maybe that'd be terrible, but for some reason I think that would be interesting.
I could do that.
But I feel like those guys would be going for the same roles, so you'd never hire them to do two different roles in a movie. But
yeah, that's true. Unless that was the hook of the movie.
Yeah. Twins too.
Yeah.
Did they do that already? Are they shooting that?
I'm sure. I mean, just anything you can shove into a meat grinder, they're filming it.
Weirdly, Danny DeVito has aged incredibly well for his weird body type. He's actually in way better shape than you think he is, just because he kind of has a weird body shape. Because whenever he's naked and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it's like, man, that guy's just pure muscle.
Yeah. Those clothes really make him look kind of like a toad, but in real life, it's like, that guy could probably kick my ass. Work out a lot.
I don't know, maybe Arnold gave him tips. I don't know. Because they got to be like the same age, right? Like they're both like in their 70s or 80s.
Probably, yeah.
No, 70s, because like Stallone's like 70, 76. Which also, I think like Stallone and, Samuel L. Jackson are the same age, because that's also the same age as our dad. So.
Oh, okay.
which I wouldn't necessarily put them in a line of people that are the same age. So. Let's see. We cut to Harry's driving Mickey and gives him money he needs that he'll probably just gamble away, because that's what he needs money for, is to cover his gambling debts. Then Then we cut to Andy meets with Francesca and like proposes an affair, which I don't know if she has a relationship or whatever. What's going on here? Or he just wants an office affair for reasons, because
I think it's implied that it would be improper for them to have a relationship
Okay.
because unprofessional.
And that's supposed to be what's enticing to her is because it's unprofessional.
Yeah, and also she knows about it because all these people know about each other. It's like, oh, this is the sex and gambling guy.
And then they dance, and then they intercut with them having sex, which I guess is a good juxtaposition. It's like, oh yeah, these are the same thing, just with clothes and without clothes. We cut to the British Embassy are mulling over the idea of like someone trying to buy the canal away, which here it's like like India and China and somebody else.
Yeah, Indians, the Chinese. Chinese are the big threats. Which weirdly enough, like now that's like that might actually be happening. It's like, oh, okay.
We cut to Andy and Harry meet. Andy's calling out Harry for like the secret deal being bullshit, which it's true. So, Andy has a lighter camera, so this is like the most sophisticated spycraft we get in this movie. Although later on, there's just like mysterious phones out of nowhere that's almost comical.
Yeah,
like everybody just has a phone hidden somewhere and they start answering.
Yeah, some kind of it's like a cell phone that would be appropriate for that era, but the fact that it would work in a third world country is kind of unlikely. I don't know. Maybe near a city it would.
So Andy he gives Harry the lighter camera, and so he wants him to convince his wife to go gather intel from her employer, which is like some sort of like high up government entity guy who's in control of like I don't know construction or whatever. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's like a dam building guy or something. It has something to do with the canal, I guess.
Again, that's very that's why you get John Borman to do this stuff. Is like, is there something there something human that's built that is doing something with water? Get Borman in here. We must have it. We cut to Louise and Harry talk. She heard he was at a sex hotel and wonders if he's cheating on her. Which at first you think like, oh, is he? And like I'm never sure by the end of the movie. So because there's this mention basically at the end of the movie that it's like, oh, he has a relationship with Marta, but he says like, yes, I do, but it's never physical. So it's like, am I supposed to believe that? But by that time he's mostly telling the truth, so I'm guessing that is the truth. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some things he won't do and lie about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of Harry's friends are people he feels sorry for.
I'll Kill Benny shows up again, but I forgot what he does. He's just trying to implore him to tell the truth here. I can't remember.
No, he's trying to. It's like you better think of a way out of this.
Okay.
I don't know if the truth would necessarily be his way, but yeah.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Here's where Harry says there's no other woman, and I don't know if that's a lie or not. Which in this case there is a woman, but it's not. Again, it's more of an emotional.
Yeah, it's what you call like a work wife or a shop mama, maybe. It's like it's a woman I'm friendly with outside of my marriage, but there's no physical like love between us. It's just like it's another woman I'm in some kind of relationship with.
Then it's nighttime. Harry gets out of bed and goes to Lisa's stuff to gather intel with the lighter camera, which I really don't know what the stuff is. It's just kind of the MacGuffin here.
Yeah, it's just like stuff, I don't know.
And this is where I wrote that Harry dreams of the shop on fire, which I thought this was going to prelude to him lighting a shop on fire, but this is the past where he did that for insurance money. Correct, right? It was an insurance fraud thing.
Yes.
Okay. Then Louisa wakes him up when she comes downstairs, and she says she wants to meet Andy, which like, well, that's a bad idea. So, we cut to Harry is working, and like, this is where he has like the secret closet phone that's just like hidden behind some garments. So, and he calls someone. I can't even remember who it is, but this is out of nowhere for no reason. Harry visits a grave to hide the film under the flowers. I bothered to write down the grave. It's Lady Jane Digby Fortescue, 1816 1921. So there's no way he would have known this person. So. It's also weird he lays flowers down and we see like children stealing flowers from the graves or maybe gathering them for reasons. Maybe there's like a ceremonial thing there. I don't know. but they don't take the flowers off this grave. So, and then there's the weird gardener who we don't know who that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is like a dream sequence of like just these are probably symbolic things that are in the book that I just can't remember. But yeah.
Back at the shop, we have a customer. Teddy's waiting. This is just kind of like the underground criminal element that has business suits. He's curious how he's paid off the debt. So now he's like basically looking for money. It's like, well, you paid off the debt, so you got money. So why don't I have it? So, we cut to Andy grabs the film. The next scene he spends. Oh yeah, then after that he's spending time with Harry's family. Andy and Louisa talk when they're alone. She thinks they're having an affair, like Andy and Harry are.
Yes, yes.
But then this is where like Andy assures her that like it's just spy stuff. But he's like more vague about it, but he's just leading her to that conclusion. But he's also like sneaking up behind her to touch her shoulders, and it's like super creepy and weird. So, but then she like kind of like rebuffs him. She leaves, and then this is where she says he's loyal to Delgado. That's her boss, which I don't really know who he is. Just kind of like a higher up, like you said, he's like planning committee guy or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
We get Harry and Louisa's backstory where like Harry like he always calls her his princess and stuff like that, and this is where he swooned her, but like she doesn't know his past, and she knows his lie of his past. So
yeah.
Andy's still trying to seduce her. Oh yeah, this is where they're like, in the water for no reason. So, and their just heads are barely above water, and then like Andy keeps trying to like kiss her and stuff like that or rub her back, and she's like, get away. And then Harry drives by in the boat, and then like he sees him there, and he's just like, well, that's weird. Hope nothing wrong is going there. Then Harry and Louisa talk, and then she says Ernie Delgado is off limits. That's their boss. So. And then she tells Harry to make her laugh. And then we cut to Francesca and Andy having sex, and then he gets a call mid-sex, which I think, is this Harry calling him? I can't remember. Yeah, because in the next scene, Harry and Andy are out walking the street. They go into a gay club to talk because they're pretty sure nobody'd follow them in there, or it'd be obvious if they did. They dance and talk over the plans. Harry wants to quit, and then Andy wants something in return from the money he gave him, which is reasonable. If you give somebody like $50,000, you might want to expect something out of it. So, Harry wants all the info on the Delgados and his dealings. He wants info on Mickey and Marta, like what they're planning. Then Harry's like starts to have a panic attack, and so he leaves the club. And then this is where Harry lies about Mickey having an arms shipment coming in for him. And so this is like the final lie that gets things into action. Because this is basically Andy calling Harry on all his bullshit, and then so he comes up with another big lie that Andy. Which Andy has to know is a lie, right? But it's the lie he wants to believe. He knows that this lie will give him access because he won't be at fault, because it's like, oh, my informant told me something wrong. So
yeah, he definitely sees this as a situation that he can take advantage of.
Yeah. So that being in Act 2. Act 3, Andy meets his boss at the airport. It was Luxmore, I think his name.
Yeah.
He lies his way. Well, I think they need $2 million, and at this point he lies his way into $10 million. And then his boss flies to Washington to meet at the Pentagon. We cut to there's a meeting with the criminals at the Tailor shop. A drunk Mickey is there as well. He's getting. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention because it's like this is what's the was it Jackie? No, what's Gleason? What's his name? It's not Jackie Gleason. It's this guy?
Oh, Brendan Gleason.
Brendan Gleason. Because earlier in the movie he talks about how Mickey was the most handsome man in Panama, and then we get Brendan Gleeson, who's just looks like a lovable drunk uncle. So, yeah. But so yeah, he's putting a suit together for Mickey. Harry gets pissed about they make an Armani comment, they just go down the street and buy Armani. Then this gives him to go off on what's wrong with the country, which is basically seems like, Well, it seems like you can imply that's what's wrong with the entire world at any moment in time. So yeah, whatever.
Might be more acute here because it's a little more pressing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically described the world.
The criminal guys leave. Mickey apologizes and they hug. Teddy is asking around about Mickey and Marta to sell people out for money because I guess that's like, I forget what Teddy does, but like he also sells people out to the government. That's like
He's basically a gossip writer.
Okay.
Who also like works for the guy. He's a dangerous person.
Yeah.
He's a dangerous gossip, essentially. I don't know if that's a real thing, but in this world, it's like, yeah, I could see that a guy like that exists. Yeah.
Harry tells Mickey and Marta to leave town because he's like senses something's coming to a head, which it is. Harry confides to Marta. Then we cut to there's a meeting at the Pentagon. Luxmore's selling Mickey and Marta as like revolutionaries they can use to like overthrow the government. And so they support a coup to get back the canal. And then there's like this general there, which you've seen this guy before. I forget the character. He's like basically
Dylan Baker.
Yeah, he gets like this little moment where he has like a flashback where he's like saluting the flag in like a very distressed way, and it's like shot on video. It's as he's like this is the only time I had to surrender the Panama Canal and stuff like that. So
yeah, and he has like there's a star missing off our flag.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
You know, as he's drinking at a Pentagon meeting.
And back then we're like, this is ridiculous. Now it's like, oh shit. Stars to the flag.
And then here they like the haggle, like they ask him how much money they need for revolution, and he's like $20 million. And he gets on the phone. It's like, they haggled me down to 15 million. Ha ha. And I was like, I think you need way more money than that to start a revolution. And I think that's like not a problem for the Pentagon to get that much money, but whatever. Yeah, I was gonna say, they can... all the figures are comical because you know it's basically just a bank theft, an elaborate bank theft.
Yeah.
But also like it also seems like a comical amount of money to start a revolution. So we cut to Andy gets a call. I can't even remember what the call is about. Oh, that's when he's talking to Luxmore, and so yeah, he tells him that he got the haggle up to 15 mil. We go to Harry confronts Teddy. He goes home and Marta calls home, which he's like distressed about something. Which is where like, you know, it's like Louise is suspicious that he's like, yeah, because she thinks like he's cheating on her with Marta, and then she's suddenly calls on the phone, and also she's like explicitly ignoring him and like has a blender on and is like answering the phone. It's a very weird scene. So. And then she like when he kind of looks at her when he picks up the phone to like, hey, can I have some privacy? And then she like just puts the speakerphone on so she can hear it too out loud while the blender is still going on.
Yeah, she's being very passive aggressive for for different reasons than what she thinks is going on and what's really going on are very different things.
Then we cut to Andy has a meeting with the embassy people. They're kicking him out of the operation, and Andy tries to finagle his way back in by saying like they'll only talk to him, but they're like, yeah, I don't think that's true. And then Francesca calls Andy out in his office about making everything up, which then Andy just offers sex as a rebuttal. It's like, what if we had sex instead of like selling me out? Which she's into, but then Maltby comes in and blackmails Andy. So he's like, sure. Yeah, that's how the game works. So like nobody's good here. So then we cut to Harry's driving through a parade. Uncle Benny shows up to tell him like only the truth will set you free, basically. There's also like an intercut where he's like driving like his wife and kids through the same parade just at an earlier time or whatever.
Yeah.
Louisa leaves the house looking for Harry, and then we cut back to Harry finds Marta and sees Mickey dead in the window, which I wrote, I guess he drank himself to death because we see him like police off in the background and he just has like a bunch of booze huddled in his arms as he gets in this hotel room. So I thought he drank himself to death, but we'll find out his fate soon enough. Then we cut to Louisa knocks on Andy's door, which Andy uses as an excuse to like scare Luxmore away. So because he did have like all this $20 million or $15 million like handcuffed to both his arms, and now they're undone. He's like, "Get out of here!" Which like Luxmore's like, "This place is fast and loose and doesn't value life. Like you have to help me." He's like, "You'll figure it out." So it's like it's weird. So then but then Andy opens the door, and then like Louisa comes in angry. He gets all handsy with her, and then comes on her as like a distraction. Like pins her on the on the bed, but she gets away from him and rebukes him. But this is why she has like these papers that she stole out of Harry's desk. That's like kind of pointing at the lie of like Indiana.
Yeah, or it shows like where he wrote, like he storyboarded the whole thing.
And then we cut back to we see Mickey has shot himself in the head. And Marta and Harry kind of grieve over Mickey, but like then they should move on to the next things. Here's where we get the like, he takes the gun away from Mickey, but never uses the gun. So I thought that was gonna be a Chekhov's gun thing, but it's not. And then he does the the classic movie close the eyes thing, which you never see the opposite, because I remember that's always like listed as an incorrect thing, that like someone dead like that you can't close their eyes like that.
Yeah.
But they never like show that in a movie where it's like someone tries to close their eyes and they can't.
It would ruin the drama.
But you do that in a comedy where it's like, they have to close the eyes, and they try to like do this like, gentle thing of respect, and then they're just like, no, the fucking eyes won't close. And then it becomes anger. So yeah, just put your fingerprints on a dead body. That's always a great idea. Harry calls Andy to try to stop things and reveal the truth to everyone, but like everybody already kind of knows that this is all bullshit, but they going ahead with it anyways because progress is progress, I guess. Andy gets a call from his boss and like leaves the line open as he just sneaks away with the money in the background. This is where he just let Luxmore like talk to himself forever. It's a funny scene.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Harry screams at the British embassy, like trying to tell them the truth. And then we cut to the Pentagon take the death of Mickey as like an excuse to invade the canal. We cut back to the embassy. Harry tells them the truth, and the people are just going to step aside and let it happen. And it's like, well, things are in motion. We don't want to rock the boat. So. Louisa goes to Delgado to try to get the truth out ahead of everything. And here Delgado says he's going to go to the president. Harry finds Andy getting in his car with the money, and then they just end up in just kind of like a awkward car chase, like an anticlimactic car chase.
Yeah, because Andy's driving some cheap economy car, and Harry has a Range Rover.
Yeah,
driving through like a field. It's like, well, clearly one of these things is not going to make.
Yeah, so Andy's car gets stuck, and he grabs the money, and then does he just walk out of there, or does he take the Range Rover? No, we just cut away, so I don't remember what happens.
He gets out of there somehow.
Well, because we did. Yeah, they kind of struggle in the field, but then we just cut to a bunch of Apache helicopters move in and start blowing stuff up, and so that's they're invading the canal. And then we just cut to, it's like, I don't know, it's like time later, and then the ambassador Maltby is like sells out Luxmore, saying he doesn't know who that guy is.
Yeah.
And then Maltby,
Luxmore's trying to get to the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's trying to get out of the country because there's about to be this violent revolution.
Then Maltby is protecting Andy at the airport because he's paying him off, and the choppers get called off, so they all fly away. Andy's getting on the plane. Then we cut to Harry comes home to an angry Louisa, and then Harry reveals his past to Louisa, and she's like, "Why didn't you ever tell me that?" It's like, "I didn't think you accept me or whatever." So, but Louisa accepts him back. We cut back to Andy makes eyes at a stewardess, so he's like, doesn't learn anything out of this and doesn't get what he deserves. So.
Yeah, he gets away with it. Like $9 million in '90s bucks in a suitcase. It's like, yeah, he's set.
Yeah, going to Switzerland or whatever. And then Harry flips a pancake, and that's the end of the Tailor of Panama. So. Which I guess is a happy ending for Harry, which it's really a lot of things probably should have came his way. He should have been like the person who tried to make things right and then was killed because of it or whatever, but that doesn't happen. So
no,
so that's
that'd be sad.
Yeah.
And this movie does have kind of like a comic element to it
Oh
also.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, once you once you invoke Uncle Benny, it's a part comedy. So, um, yeah, any any further musings on the Tailor of Panama, or what's it supposed to mean, or what it meant to you?
No, not much. It's kind of a, like I said, it's kind of an interesting later in his career John le Carre book
Yeah.
that was made into a movie. They've made a few good adaptations. A lot of his movies have, or a lot of his books have been made into.
But yeah, the only thing I ever knew of the Tailor of Panama is like that's like supposed to be the Garrick character from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
But what's always implied in Deep Space Nine is that he was like an intelligence officer who quit being like interrogating people and killing people and became a tailor, which that's not really what this Harry character is in the book or in the movie. So is that what he is in the book? Is it closer to the Garrick character in Deep Space?
no, the Garrett character was kind of like, what if the Tailor was actually an
Oh,
effective
okay.
intelligence agent? Because Garrick was like at the top of the Obsidian Order in the Cardassian universe in Deep Space Nine,
Yeah.
and then he used his like powers of evil for good later to help Cisco and the Federation defeat
Dominion.
the Dominion because the Cardassians align with the Dominion. Um, but like Garrick and the Cardassians, they were like dark characters
Oh
because
yeah.
they were to the Bajorans like what the Nazis were
Yeah,
in World War II. So it's like, yeah, Garrick's an interesting, well written character, but yeah, it's
Well,
ultimately
he's
great evil, and
well,
it's
yeah,
like,
like his introduction to him, he's like this fun character, and then what's revealed is that he has this great evilness behind him that he is regretful of, but he still wants to try to escape retribution for it. But he is also trying to, um, what do you call it, resolve those evil things he did by trying to do good as well. So it's a very interesting character.
yeah, it's one of the most interesting Star Trek characters ever. And the Cardassians, some of those interesting bad guys, because it's like, oh, you made the Nazis
Yeah.
like in the Star Trek universe. Like that's a bold choice in a lot of ways, and it's like, how are you going to get around this? Because for a long time the Klingons were the heavies, and then they just became like the
Lovable drunk like cousins.
yeah, they're like bikers. Like they
Yeah,
can't help but be what they are, but they have a certain underlying nobility. Well, the Cardassians are just like satanically evil,
yeah.
like worse than the Romulans in a lot of ways, or at least we know a group that they. I mean, the Romulans killed millions of people, billions of people too, probably.
I don't,
Yeah, but Ronald Moore said like, yeah, Garrick was based on the character of the Tailor of Panama, but what if he was actually like a spy
okay.
who became like this? I wheedle information out of people and I can use my powers to make things happen for Cisco, even though no
Yeah,
one
because it's
trusts
like,
me.
well, his background is he just violently interrogated people, right? And then like later on, it's like he's using clever intuition to interrogate people, and like,
I mean, he worked for the Obsidian Order, which was like kind of like the
but like as a tailor, he just kind of finagles information out of people
yes,
without violence. So
yeah.
he found another way. It's like, oh, this is just as effective, and I don't have to kill people.
Well, he was always kind of a conversational interrogator. I forget why he got drummed out of the Obsidian Order but not killed. It had something to do with who was the main heavy? Was it Gul Dukat?
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
the main Cardassian heavy during DS9? It's like he crossed up with Gul Dukat at some point
Okay.
because Dukat was actually going way too far with things that Garrick was like, look, we've got to throttle back here long term. We're not going to come out of this ahead because at the time Garrick was in there, like they were looking at starting. This was pre-Dominion. Like we might enter in a war with the Federation. It's like, well, that's suicide. They're much bigger than us. They have better technology. And Dukat was like willing to do things that Garrick was like, okay. Not that he was unwilling to do those things because he did those things, but at some point he's like, this is not effective. And but so he was able to limit his exposure being drummed out but not be killed. I forget the reasons why, but yeah.
He just he knew one too many secrets that they couldn't kill him because they couldn't be sure that the secrets wouldn't be released or something.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah. He knew bad things, and he knew people's political weaknesses and stuff. So yeah, so that was like Ronald Moore does acknowledge, like, yeah, this is the, like, what if the Tailor was actually the spy?
Okay.
And was also an effective agent.
Because I think I watched this movie looking for the Garrett character and I didn't see it, so I was like, oh, there must have been.
Yeah, no, the Garrett character doesn't really. It was just like a what if. It's like, oh, what if this guy was real? Instead of like it was all imagination, and a lot of stuff that go
I mean, I guess there is direct. I guess there is a lot of direct stuff because the wormhole in Deep Space Nine is essentially the canal.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a lot of sense.
And you had an evil force on one side of it, and maybe an evil force on the other. But I don't know. It depends on how you view the Federation. The Federation, by the time of the Picard series, it seems like just admirals that yell "fuck" and people that have no strategy, and one cool captain who's kind of bitter and dies. But that's.
Yeah, I don't think you have Paramount anymore, but I didn't even bother to see that Sector 33 movie, and I don't even know if Red Letter Media have done a review on it. I didn't hear good things. So.
No, it's terrible. It's the worst thing ever put on film, they say. But I'm hearing that a lot because the Electric State came out, and it's like, oh, a movie with that cast and budget, and it gets 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. Cool, we're doing great.
I feel bad for Simon Stahlhag because you've watched all that stuff and said it's like they're all bad adaptations. Like,
well, the problem is this. Look, Simon Stahlhag and the universe he has created in those art books is amazing.
Yeah.
They have yet to find people that can flesh out stories around that aren't either boring, which was the problem with Tales from the Loop. It was like, it's a cool idea. It was well visualized. It was boring. And the Electric State, it's like, yeah, it's a $300 million movie, and you can tell. But the dialogue and the story as written was so bad, the characters would say the dialogue and then kind of look around like they farted or something. Like, why are the people saying this are like, well, this is dumb. Why am I mean, even Chris Pratt's like, he's like, I'm confused. I hope I'm getting a lot of money for this. It's like, well, just do Star-Lord. No, I can't do that. And it's okay. Not because they're bad actors or there's anything wrong with any of the actors. It's a terrible script.
Yeah, which
the Russo brothers are capable.
Yeah, they've seemed to have gone way downhill the more money they got. Because like, I loved what they did with they did those special episodes of Community where they basically made Die Hard but with paintball.
Yeah.
And then like I love the Winter Soldier, and then I heard bad things about the new Captain America movie, which I was really excited for because that's basically like, oh, they basically got Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan as the president, and he turns into a Hulk. It's like, that should be interesting. And apparently it's just bland and tepid, so I didn't even bother to see that. So it's like, and then
lost
what was it? The Gray Man? That was fucking awful with like good performances. Like, how do you do that?
I mean, Marvel's done it, obviously. That is a peculiar Netflix thing where it's like everything is either going to be good or bad. There's no like, we can't thread this needle at all and like be somewhere in the middle. It's like, this is either going to be really cool, which means like kind of average when you look at it in aggregate, or it's going to be a steaming pile of shit. There's no room in the middle for anything else.
Yes, I don't know. It feels like a lot of their like bad movies that are big, it seems like they're trying to put comedy in an action movie. It's like, I think this is just supposed to be drama and bad things happen, and maybe the action is cool, but it still be drama. But they try to make a 4-quadrant movie out of like an R-rated violent movie or something like that.
Yeah, they're doing.
I don't know. Maybe that appeals to like Europeans or something like that. Maybe they're doing the numbers that we don't see, and like it's working for them in the background, but like to us it feels like they're making bad movies.
I mean, I would like to believe that because it's Netflix, there's some algorithmic machine learning behind the kind of movies they're making, but my mind that actually works and is rational tells me it's like, even though I want to believe fanciful things, this is just Canon Studios from the 80s.
Yeah.
They're just pile driving themselves into the ditch at warp 9. It's like, okay, bye. This was fun while it lasted. Fuck,
But there,
so
I know that it seemed like if it's a streaming service, you feel like there'd just be no restrictions, but apparently there's still like a lot of restrictions and like different ones that I never thought of before. Like, because like when you have Netflix open, they now have like that big screen open, and then there's always like a movie like in the background to try to entice you. Like, do you want to watch this? Well, you notice like all the UI is like on the left and right thirds. And so there's this middle third you shoot. So you specifically have to have like a certain amount of footage in your movie that caters to the middle third so they can play that scene when you open up Netflix.
Yeah. Not surprised. I didn't know that. I'm surprised that you tell me. I absolutely believe that unquestionably.
And I heard like even like more restricted things. It might be different now, but like you know the Between Two Ferns movie?
Yes.
So it was directed by Scott Aukerman, and like he has some insights on like directing that. And so at the time he made that, they were still doing stuff where they were catering to movie theaters. And so they had to do things like I never heard before, but like this has to be like standard across all movies that are like put on film and like have to be loaded in like 7 different reels or whatever. But like basically like, a reel has to load up in every so many minutes. And so like every so many minutes you have to have a static frame for the next for the next reel to load in.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize that. It's like, oh yeah, that just has to be that way. So I'm trying to think of like, man, that means like Ridley Scott has to plan that out. And the fact that I never knew that means that like all these creative people are just hiding this stuff in the background that you never knew about. So.
Yeah. And I thought making movies would be easy.
Well, we're sending a problem today containing the supercut of the scenes from the imperfect collection that is Verhoeven Effect. Nathan, what one scene from this movie are we shoving into space?
Oh God, there's so many. I actually think the perfect scene that encapsulates the meaning of this movie, if you want to look at it in multiple dimensions, is kind of the speed scene of him working on suits at the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's like he's crafting a suit and he's crafting a tail. Suits are better than the stories he comes up with because a lot of people got killed and the bad guy made it away with a lot of money. At the end of the day, that's the scene I think that's like, yes, he is the Tailor of Panama and he's the Tailor of fiction, and he got all his friends killed and arrested, but his wife loves him despite maybe now at the end of the movie maybe he's liberated from his deception because he has no more lies to keep safe. It's like, yeah, I was a prisoner in a violent prison, and I learned to be a tailor there. I'm not a Savile Row hoity-toity, or what do they call that in Britain, posh. I'm not a posh person. I'm just a prisoner who burned down his uncle's warehouse for a little bit of money. So maybe the Tailor of Panama is now free of his life of deception, and he can just make good suits and bad stories.
Does the book end the same way?
Pretty much.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Because I felt like it seemed like John Borman, like as we talked about with the what's the horror movie? Exorcist. He like made a more hopeful movie, so I didn't know if that was him doing that here as well. Or
No, the book kind of ended the same way. There was a lot more. There was a lot more rebuke of George H.W. Bush, and kind of the American use of Central and South America as some kind of private, piggy bank and place to manipulate things. Because that was kind of like John le Carré was really into that. Really hated the Bushes. And really hated the American empire at the end of the 20th century and into the 21st century, because he soon had another Bush to hate.
Wait, because this movie takes place in '99, so technically this would still be Clinton. So, but there's like almost no mention of Clinton. So,
no, it was this was kind of, I forget what other. I'm trying to think of. I've read almost all his books. Like The Constant Gardener is another that was made into.
Oh, okay, that's like my favorite stupid movie title.
Yeah.
Because like it doesn't, I don't know what that means, but it sounds intriguing.
It's a thoroughly uninteresting, visually amazing movie about
Yeah,
another
I think yeah. Oh crap.
Ray Fiennes is in it.
Yes, he is the guy who directed that. He directed this really cool movie about a photographer in Brazil.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what it is. I'll just look up The Constant Gardener and I'll know it. It's like City of God, maybe. Um, but like that dude made really good looking movies, and The Constant Gardener looks great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's see if it's the same guy. Yep, City of God. That's the guy directing.
Okay.
It's Fernando Morales. Also made a movie I heard is infamous for being terrible called Blindness.
Oh yeah, I've watched that.
Okay.
It is infinitely terrible and interesting at the same time.
Okay. I think I saw it in Red Letter Media one time. They just showed like the most awkward scenes from that movie. It's like, oh man, this is weird. Because basically everyone is blind in the movie, but you're watching them, so it just looks like people are stumbling awkwardly all over the place and stuff.
Yeah, essentially that's what it is.
Well, you can find us on Letterboxd, username VHE, 1 out of 5 stars. What are you giving the Tailor of Panama?
I'm going to give the Tailor of Panama 5 stars.
Okay.
Because I like John Borman and I like John le Carré, and I think it was a fairly accurate interpretation of a novel that could be at some points dense and depressing at the same time. But this movie makes it fun. Read one, watch the other, or do both, like I did. It's worth it. John le Carré is always worth reading.
Okay.
Some of his later stuff that some people hate, he was just full on. Like I said, the two Bushes kind of ended his career. HW and W. He was like, the American Empire is out of control and more dangerous than ever. And it's like, hold on.
Hold my beer.
Yes, hold my beer. So, yeah. This is this was a good rounding out of John Borman movies that I'm willing to watch that are good, that get good reviews. I don't watch things that get like 1-star reviews. Sorry, I just don't do it. It's not. I don't look for those diamond roughs.
Technically, that could be like kind of what we're supposed to do with the podcast, but we don't have to torture ourselves all the time. So.
Yeah, no. Hey, if a movie's like 50% gets like 1-star reviews or 13% on Rotten Tomato. I'm not going to assume that there's some mass internet shit going on. I'm going to assume that movie sucks. And I'll put good money on the fact that that's the good decision.
Well, one of the challenges I put in our notes, but we haven't done it yet because I don't know how actually it might just come off as awkward. But do you remember? Did you ever watch the MST3K episode of Time Chasers?
I think so, yeah.
Where like they have the time traveling airplane and like they go back to like the 80s and stuff like that. And
it sounds familiar, yeah.
But like I remember thinking like that was a great episode of Mystery Science Theater, but I also thought like that movie's not so bad. Like I could see the enthusiasm behind it of like we just got the neighbors together, we made a movie, and it's actually like a beautiful thing, even though they made pretty much a mediocre time travel movie. But I think the enthusiasm is there. Like they made a movie. They didn't make an interesting necessarily or creative movie, but they made a fucking movie. That's fucking hard. So.
Yeah, I know. I like some of the original concept behind this podcast was to find deep meaning in nonsense.
Yeah.
But actually I found out like that's hard. It's easier to find deep meaning in things where, oh yeah, it was written this way for deep meaning. The author confirms it and you can see it. Or the guy who directed the film or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the example we always use is RoboCop, where it's essentially it's a stupid B-movie action movie about a man. It's even a stupid name. It's like RoboCop. It's the dumbest name, but it has deep cultural insight and stuff like that. Which
it's the ultimate 80s movie.
Yeah.
It's like it's everything that was right and wrong about the 80s in one movie.
But then and of course I had the same revelation with with Starship Troopers, which I just thought was a stupid movie when I was a kid. It's like, well, this just seems unnecessarily violent and kind of goofy. And then they're like, oh, this is all fascism parable. So it's like, oh, okay, I completely missed the obvious thing they were doing. So, but
Yeah, these people seem dumb and they're following a false god. And it's like, oh yeah, that's fascist. Okay, yeah.
But I also had the same I don't know, like Mars Attacks. Like I never really got that, but people love that movie for it's like, oh yeah, it's like stupid and dark and humans are awful. It's like, I guess.
There's a lot of good satire in there.
Yeah.
And the way it ends is great. But yeah.
I don't think I think like there's so many unceremoniously deaths in that movie. I think I was just upset by like them killing off like likable actors in very terrible ways, but that was like the joke. It's like, oh yeah, I guess. But I guess but I'm still not jaded to movies, so I didn't appreciate that. So,
The movie that I wanted to do like a biblical analysis, there was a few of them, but it would be so much work on my part. 5 people to watch. I was gonna I wanted to hyper analyze the movie The Core.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the best dumb movie you'll ever see. I like all these actors, I like these characters, and I like the story, but I mean, even I'm a non-scientist. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm like, God, this is really dumb. But man, these people are really selling it, and I want to see where they're going. It's like we're making a ship out of unobtainium. It's like amazing, and everyone's saying this, and some of the actors are laughing when they're saying it. I was like, I like this movie for some reason.
Well, you can find us at verhoeffect.com. There we have listener support. You can support us on monthly stipend on 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99. Cancel anytime. You can rate our podcast on whatever platform you want. You can rate us over whatever you want. The only thing the algorithm listens to is the highest rating. Remember, you control the algorithm. You must control the algorithm and give us 5 stars. You can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory and watch both this and that show live and unedited. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.
Goodbye, America.